Lovely, welcome. Welcome to the courtroom. Sorry, that's all right. I'll have him after you. Who doesn't know this building? Who hasn't been here before? Is there anyone? A couple of people haven't been here. Because it's interesting. It's one of the... I moved to Barrie in 2002. And I used to walk by and just wonder what this building was. It seemed glorious until the first time I went in, and it got even more glorious inside. So I'm Jo Ellen Grzyb. I'm one of the original trustees, so I've been involved in this project from the beginning, and it's been an extraordinary and exciting project to be involved in. This is clearly the courtroom, and it was a courtroom from 1279 until 1974. That's a lot of years. And one of the, our taglines is around 1,000 years and 1,000 stories. Well, we know that there were loads of stories in this space. The very first trial in 1279 was the goldsmiths. Goldsmiths who had been found devaluing coinage by shaving the edges of the gold off. And it was a big scandal at the time, and it meant that it was such an important trial that justices came from London to try the court. Obviously, this is not a medieval space, although underneath this magnificent Regency ceiling are the original medieval timbered roof. Unfortunately, we had hoped that we could open up a little bit of it so that it could be seen. It can't. Just structurally, it would be almost impossible. But what we do have is, it's not the same thing, but on our website, the Guildhallexperience.org.uk, are some photographs, and you can see it, and it's magnificent. But clearly in the Regency period, this was redone, and it was done to impress. So we have James I, and this is quite an intimidating space if you're a Roman. And part of what we'll be doing is having some of the more famous trials reenacted within this space. And that's the whole idea of the entire project, but in this space is making it a living entity rather than a static museum. I mean, I'm a great museum goer and I love them, but one of the first times I came here was, I don't know if anyone else saw it, was an African Macbeth. Did you see it? It started out there with the Witches' Sabbath, and these rooms were used, and it was thrilling and exciting, and it just made me fall in love with this building as a space to be used. And I had no idea at the time that I'd be involved in actually doing something here. So that's quite thrilling. So the idea, and that we have an interpretation board over there, is that there'll be reenactments, there'll be revolving exhibitions so that the space is used continually to draw people in. There'll be sort of tables with things that people can touch that have, been currently being digitized, artifacts from the borough, so that people aren't just looking at something from afar, but they're involved in it. And that's the idea, I think, of the whole building, but different rooms will be used in different ways. The other thing, of course, is that it's a great space. I mean, there were quite a few of us crammed in here this evening. It's a great space for entertaining. It's a great space for us to be able to use in terms of our business plan to make money, really. It's a viable space that once it's spruced up, and we're not Disneyfying it, we're actually just enhancing it, is for people to entertain, for business meetings to happen, for weddings to happen, but for the building again to be used and brought back into the public domain. Because I was helping clean yesterday, and I thought, it's magnificent and a little unloved. And we're loving it. The trustees and the volunteers and the friends who have been involved love this building and wanted to bring it back to life. So that's the idea of how this space will be used. Now let me just make sure on my crib sheet that I've covered everything. I have on here. Now, I'm not the experts, but if you have any questions at all, by all means, I'll see if I can answer them. That probably, I don't know if it's, I have to be honest with you, I'm not sure whether that's Regency or Victorian, because the Victorians had their fingers in a few pies as well, as they did a lot of things to make things look more medieval than they actually are. But that's fine. I mean, I think that that's the point of a building like this, is that the layers are there, because if you have a living building, things are going to be done to it in the style of the taste of the day. So we don't want to just have it be one thing. There will be, you know, you've seen the ops room. Well, you know, we don't need to bring that back to how it was, because that is important in its own self. And this room, again, for all that it was used, to celebrate its importance as well.
What do you envisage this room being when it's open to the public?
Well, this is the room that will have a lot of revolving exhibitions, films. If you can look at the board, that's our simplest form. But there will be some permanent things, but cases that can hold certain things. There will be actually, we hope, you know, it will work, that people can, you know, actually touch objects that aren't going to get damaged, so that they have a feel of what artifacts were, how they were used. And we'll take advantage of the theme that this still is, or was, a courtroom until not that long ago, the latter part of the last century. And I think that's, for me, the exciting thing about the building breathing again, and make it a loved space rather than something that people use every once in a while.
Do you know how the interaction of the assizes has become so very, didn't it, to make decisions on and this building, how they interacted?
I was talking to Margaret Staken, who really knows everything, and they're still not sure. I mean, one of the things that we hope to do is to get some really heavy-duty research around the trials, because we know that the assizes were involved in the witches' trials, which went on for nearly 100 years here, but we don't know whether any of them actually took place in this space. We maybe have to assume that because the witch trials went on for so long, some of them had to have been here, but it would be good to find out. They had a lot of witches in Barry, I found. I probably would have been one of them at the time. I was outspoken now, and I probably would have been outspoken then. So that's one of the things we would like to see what the connections are and how it was used here. Yeah, it is. And I think that the space, I mean, you'll see some damage here. I only found out today that there was a hole that was made in the roof about 100 years ago, and the solution for that was a table with a bucket on it. And of course, the bucket would overflow when people weren't being aware of it, and so we've had all this damage. But it's one of the areas that we've been incredibly successful in terms of fundraising, separate from the Heritage Lottery Fund, is we've raised quite a bit of money, and work will start on the roof at the end of this month. So I think that's one of the exciting things, along with the thermometer, is to see the scaffolding up, because then it's real. You know, Stefan's been a trustee from the beginning, and I felt like a little bit like 6 characters in search of a play. You know, 6 of us, you know, those of us searching for the project that was going to bring things to life. And this is it. This is what we found. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
On with the next part of the tour.